2016 budget was presented by President in December 2015. This budget was not passed until like almost 5 months. You know, if you look at 2017 budget as well, the budget was presented, I think, Wednesday, 14th of December 2016. This budget was signed into bill, I think, around June. So the issue is not timely passage of the budget, but it's not all about presentation, but the passage, and then we are talking about the actual implementation of the budget. So one will want to expect that, all things being equal, if this budget is well implemented, well, I would say there is hope for Nigeria.
Well, let's look at some of the different aspects of this budget. Let's look at some of the indicators here. We have 8.61 trillion naira. Many people are saying that is huge. Even last year's budget of 7 trillion naira, the federal government could hardly finance half of that budget. As we are speaking now, the last time we got to hear that funds are released for capital projects was around June this year. So we're having issues getting our revenues coming in to finance this budget. Do you say this, or would you say this is actually realistic?
Well, like the president explained, that the inflation rate, was factored into the budget, and that's why we have the value 8.16 trillion naira. For me, it depends on the policies of government towards realization of this budget. It may be realizable. One, if the bill is passed as soon as possible, so that it becomes a kind of fiscal budget. I mean, a budget that the implementation starts early enough. And then when we look at the targets, towards the achievement of this budget in terms of revenue, both from oil and non-oil, if they are actually tailored, if all leakages are blocked, I would say that it may be realizable.
But looking at we depend heavily on oil. Is that enough? The last time, like 2 or 3 days ago, oil had risen to like $63 a barrel in the international market. Is that enough for us to aim this high? There are people who are of the opinion that maybe we could have be modest in our expectation, saying, judging by what happened last year.
I think Mr. President, based the budget on the fact that the barrel of oil will be realizable at 45, US dollars per barrel. So if we are now having over 60% US dollar per barrel, well, let's be hopeful that we see have much appreciable value as far as the price of oil is concerned. It may be a kind of impetus, to boosting the realization of the budget.
All right. Well, the exchange rate also has been pegged at 305, to a US dollar for 2018 as part of, the key parameters for this particular budget. Yeah. You see, that is also feasible.
It may be feasible, most especially, in Nigeria is such an economy that we have so many leakages, so many markets, black market, white market, and this, and this, and this. And that is the main issue about the feasibility of such speculation.
All right, well, let's bring in Dr. Tunji Ogunyemi now. He's an economist, also budget historian. He's of the Faculty of Art at Femi, Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Ogunyemi, on this edition of Frank Talks.
Good morning, Femi.
Good morning. Tell me, what were your initial impressions about the 2018 budget as proposed by the president?
The first was that we are grateful that I think for the first time in the last 2 years, we had the budget barely maybe 60 days to the end of the financial year. So one would think that even the National Assembly were to work on it for 3 months, by early February we should have an approved federal budget.
So, I mean, you think these budgets with that size, would you say it's realistic?
This budget is this is what I would call moderate. Moderate. Last year we had 7.4 trillion naira budget. This year 8.6 trillion naira budget. If you check it, the arithmetic of it is about between 16 and 18% increase. That's fair. That's moderate. Our deficit too has also been reduced from 2.6 to about 2.0 trillion. That's also significant. But I disagree when it comes to the issue of the expectation over the export parameter for crude oil. 2.5 million barrels export per day. I think it's hyperbole. It's over optimistic.
Well, why do you think that is over optimistic? You know, we've bar the new threat by the Niger Delta Avengers, we've had a relatively stable Niger Delta, and then we seem to have been improving in that regard. And you know, government saying we're going to engage the militants. We want to expect that maybe it's just time for us to hope.
Yes, government may say, you know, there's a significant difference between intending to do a thing and actually being seen to be doing that thing. I mean, we had this before. Government promised this before. Don't forget the vice president was at the Niger Delta area, and that was very early in the year. So plastic the people, and it took for last year. One would have thought that government would have taken significant, steps to implement, or at least do this thing to be serious. I beg to use that word. It seems to be sincere, if you like, about providing for the specific needs of the Niger Delta as negotiated by the vice president in a very honorable way. But it's a shame that the government has yet to do anything in that regard. Go to the Niger Delta, the Maritime University, for example. I cannot see why government will not do anything on that maritime university.
So, you know, if you're saying, 2.3 million barrels per day, all production estimate is not realizable or not realistic, what figure would you have advised the president to go with?
Well, I think maximum of 2 million barrels per day would have been all right. I think that would have been all right. But as for the parameters, the benchmark of $45 per barrel, I think it's very good. Very good. It's always very good to be conservative about your revenue expectations. There is no point in saying you are going to hand more than what you actually know you may not be able to control. Because the parameters and the conditions precedent to the international world market with respect to our own Brent crude oil, there are conditions that are far away from our own control. We have no control over them, and so we must factor into our calculus the volatility of oil in the oil market, the price. And so $45 per barrel is very good, but the expectation of exporting 2.5 million barrels per day, I insist it is over optimistic.
And then, back to the whole figure itself, there are many people who are of the opinion that this budget is not realistic. They're saying we have so far struggled, we're still struggling to finance the 2017 budget. 7-point-something trillion naira. We've had to borrow to finance the bulk of it, and even in terms of borrowing and whatever with oil revenues and everything, we've not been able to finance maybe up to half of it. Then you're going ahead to increase next year's budget by 16%. They're saying, how does that work?
Okay, Femi, let's look at the numbers. Let's just be realistic and look at the numbers. Government proposed to spend 7.4 trillion naira this year. The proposal was made last year to spend 7.4 trillion this year. Now, out of that amount, 76% of that amount falls within the realm of the recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure is the expenditure that you engage in or you deploy for salaries, for wages, and for overhead costs. Now, is anybody saying that the federal government has not been paying salaries? Now, if government implements all the recurrent part of the budget, it is 75% implementation. 75%. So I think the issue is about the capital budget. And that capital budget for this year is just about 30%. And that 30% that government has earmarked to spend, that's about 2 trillion of that budget. Government has released 400 billion, as the president said yesterday. 400 billion. That is surely underperformance. No doubt about that. In other words, less than a quarter of government, what government intends to spend on capital because it has actually spent by October. Now, that's underperformance. But you cannot say that that budget has not been performed to the degree of more than 75%, even up to now. So people should not be looking only at the capital budget alone. The current budget too also has significant importance. It is actually the budget that concerns payment of salary, payment of school fees, household consumption, food on the table. I mean, if government is saying that, no one can argue to the contrary. I know that when you measure the performance of the government in real terms, it is actually to measure that government in terms of capital expenditure. I agree. But to dismiss the budget as not having been implemented significantly, I think it's uncharitable.
Okay. Well, looking at deficit again, we've had another, budget deficit again this year. Well, maybe we'll have to wait for some decades to come before we have a surplus budget. I mean, that's by the way. But then looking at these deficit, over 2 trillion naira of deficit. Then you look at debt servicing of also 2 trillion naira. This budget, do you think it will really have an impact on the average Nigerian in the long term?
The first area, when you look at deficit financing, is a check for what government will be doing that financing for. Deficit financing actually means government will be borrowing and then will be spending it on specific areas. What are these areas? To pay contractors, local contractors. I mean, are we saying that government should engage contractors and not pay them? They should be paid. The only thing is that the deficit for this year, that's the good thing about the deficit this year, is that it is lesser, smaller than the deficit of last year. You hardly can have a government in a developing world that will not have deficit financing, because there's always shortage of resources when it comes to developmental objectives of a state. The total income of government in this year is barely 5 trillion, and it intends to spend 8 trillion. So there must be borrowing in between to be able to cover for that deficit. That's what the government has done. What you need to check, Femi, what is the percentage of that deficit relative to the revenue capacity of government? That is, does government have the capacity to finance it under the debt portfolio? The answer is yes. However, government cannot continue to borrow like this consistently without checking the area of its revenue. And the area of the revenue, the outlook for this year, going by the statistics that we have from the Niger Bureau of Statistics and the reports that we see in the newspapers, is that the outlook for this year will be significantly from the excess to account. Check it out. $45 expectation per barrel, where a barrel since the last 4 months has been more than $50. So government, the only thing that the president failed to explain to us, what government has earned from the excess crude relative to its budget of $44.5 for this year. The president was silent on that, and I was amazed that he was silent. So we are going to earn some extra from that area. So government has actually understated its revenue. They deliberately understated its revenue. So if we earn more than that, then take out the exchange rate. Check out the exchange rate. The exchange rate is 305. Where in Nigeria do you get $1 for 305 naira? The truth of it is that dollar is not less than 350 naira today. That's the truth. In the parallel market or anywhere, or the Brody shop. 360 naira. The government says, government is going to hand dollar. Now says, it will now hand the dollar and convert it to 305 naira per dollar. That's also another understatement of income. So from these two areas, government will significantly make some savings that will now be transferred intelligently, I hope, to the servicing of the deficit. Yes. This time around, I give kudos to the very good insight of the finance minister. I think Mrs. Adeosun should be commended this time around.
For this particular budget?
For this particular budget. And surely not for the 2015 or 2016 budget. But for this one, I think kudos to the...
Why should we commend Mrs. Adeosun?
Yes, because of the frugal management of the resources of the country to such an extent that every month now we save 24 billion naira under the TSA account and under the BVN monitoring. Don't forget, what is earmarked for the second Niger bridge this year, next year, in this budget presented by our president last year, is 10 billion naira. And if government is saving 24 billion from TSA as a result of the policies of this finance minister, that is saving more than 200% of what we would have spent on a major capital budget linking the east and the western part of Nigeria. That's commendable.
Okay, well, just before I go back to our guest in here, Dr. Bosade Akombi, the acting head of the Department of Economics at Uni Osun. Tell me, there's another aspect, one other parameter, one other projection that I'd like you to explain more. Government is projecting 4.17 trillion naira as is potential revenue from non-oil sources. This, won't you say, is overly optimistic? How feasible is that? Hello?
Is that question for me, sir?
Yes, that's for you, sir.
Oh, yes. Overly optimistic in terms of the internal generated revenue?
I mean, the non-oil revenues, where do we get that from? 4.17 trillion naira, that's a projection.
Yes, you are correct. I think it is overly too optimistic. It's hyperbolic, no doubt about it. Because even in this year's estimate, we are already, by October this year, the government was short to the degree of about 3/4 of what is expected to earn. I think we should check our fiscal policy with respect to how we are friendly to export and then to financing agriculture and the relief sector. That's what we need to check. I think that expectation is just hyperbolic, especially that it seeks to pretend that the non-oil sector can replace the oil sector. I think it is too pretentious to do that.
And so if you look at it from that standpoint, would you say these budgets could be affected by that projection in the long term?
I think the finance minister has gone to place a lot of level and, if you like, expectation on the tax regime that he intends to launch in 2018 by ensuring that very rich Nigerians actually pay the right tax. And the tax holidays that have been given from multinational companies, including some of the companies owned by Nigeria, by Africa's richest man, those tax holidays are actually withdrawn. There's no point in taking money from the resource deficient sector of the economy and using it to establish the resource surplus. If a man has a lot of money, you don't go blessing him more with more money than saying, don't pay tax. I think it's relying significantly on the removal of the tax holidays.
All right. Well, let me get back to Dr. Bosade Akombi. One other projection, one other key parameter of this particular budget is the GDP growth rate, at 3.5. Judging by our present situation, do you think that is feasible also? Or realizable is that also?
Well, it depends on the perspective with which you are looking at it. When we are talking about GDP, are we talking about in real terms, or we are talking about GDP growth rate in nominal terms? Like, if you are talking about nominal terms, I would say it may be realizable, but the growth rate now in Nigeria is not what is important. What is important is the translation of such growth rate, to the standard of living, of people. What is important now is how well those policies are actually well implemented, such that it will translate to such, growth rates. Anybody can speculate. For me, it depends. If we keep doing things the old way, we know the result that we will get. But actually, if all sectors of economy, are actually looked into, I won't say that rate is exaggerated. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, Dr. Ogunyemi, that growth rate, the 3.5% as projected, are we going to get anywhere near that?
This year, our growth rate oscillates between 1.6 and 1.8. Actually, the NBS will have confirmed within the first 3 quarters that our growth rate is about 1.7. So, what the expectation of a 3.5% growth in the GDP this year, I think it will border on the miraculous if we're able to get close to 2.5, not to talk of 3.5. I think if we do not begin to do something significant in the area of agriculture. See, agriculture is the largest chunk of our population. How many Nigerians are involved in the oil sector? You count all of them together, including the distributors. They are grossly less than 200,000. Whereas in Oshun alone, there are more than 200,000 farmers. So if we can do something, I think we can grow it. I think the government might have been led to think that the expectation of 3.5% growth rate was influenced by the significant positive information coming from the oil sector. Oil grows our economy, no doubt about that. Oil grows this economy. So that good performance is coming from the oil sector that have been what is responsible for this very, if you like, over optimistic 3.5%. I think what is reality about this GDP really is 2% growth.
All right.
Well, we are moving to the election year, and so the political economy of physical GDP might not be too far from this kind of figure.
All right. I'm looking at that. So, the political economic side of this budget now. Let's look at some of the programs, some of the priority areas of government as regards where the spendings will go. Defense, still gets the bulk of the funds, 145 billion naira. That's only dwarfed by power works and housing. But then we look at it as defense, standalone, because when you look at power works and housing, 3 critical sectors, they are lumped together. So defense, it takes the bulk. And people are worried that education, for instance, takes just like 7% of the entire budget at 61 billion naira. Are you worried with those parameters also?
Yes, worried, but not too significantly. If you say 61 billion for education, that's correct, but I think that's not the total picture. Please take out the figure again. There's actually 109 billion for basic education, universal basic education. If you put that together with 61 billion or 61.7 billion, if you like 58 billion, it will be in the excess of 170 billion. That's 170 billion for education. If you get the percentage right, it's above 7%. But what we must look at is, even if you say the percentage is 10%, it is still below what is required. Even if the percentage is 15%, even if it is 20%, even if it is 22%, it is still less than what is required. The United Nations has said that it should be 26%. At least a quarter of the budget of the country should be invested into education.
Well, can we do that? It's easy to say on paper, but when you look at the realities on ground in developing country like ours, can you really say you are contributing or devoting 25% of your budget to just education, and then health also, say you take 25% also to health? Is it feasible when you need to fix roads, build infrastructure, and fix electricity and what have you, sir?
I think you are right there. The reality of it is that we cannot afford that for now. The economies that vote 26% to their education are actually economies that have settled the issue of takeoff in their development trajectory. They have settled the issue of infrastructure. And infrastructure is no longer significantly a problem to productivity. But if you also look at it in the African context, Zimbabwe and Zambia devote 22% of their budget, respectively, to education. I mean, these are economies that are smaller than Nigeria. So I think it's a matter of priority, really, Femi. It's a matter of priority. You can't give what you don't have. If a nation is not developing its education, it cannot be hard to complain that it's getting poor leadership. It cannot be hard to complain. Of course, the level of the development of the university will directly impact upon the economy. And it has been proved beyond reasonable doubt. Even the western region of Nigeria, Obasanjo proved that beyond reasonable doubt by investing heavily into education. And they did not have the reverberative positive effect upon the economy of the western region. The region was a test setter and was going at the rate of 11% per annum. That's unbelievable, but it happened. That today, we are talking between 3.5% of growth rate for Nigeria, and we are even saying it's not realistic. In 2015, we had a negative growth rate of -1%. That's a shame.
All right. Well, we have to let you go at this point. Dr. Tunji Ogeyemi, thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning, Frank Talk. Dr. Tunji Ogeyemi is a budget historian, joined us live on the line from the Femi University, Ile-Ife. Thank you so much for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll be crossing over to Kampala shortly in Uganda to be joined by Shehu Onigbinde, who is the CEO of Budget. They look at the budget here. We still have Dr. Bose Diakobi, the acting head of the Department of Economics at Uniosun, with us also, right here. Looking at some of those, parameters also, we know that National Assembly will still work on these particular figures. And then, like you expressed the concern the other time, that it's not only about presentation, but actually the early passage of these so that we can start early implementation. Looking at what agriculture will take, and then what is been planned for the non-oil revenues. Like Dr. Ogeyemi said the other time, do you think that's where we need to look at to drive our economy? Some other countries are saying, well, maybe we need to look at artificial intelligence. We need to look at maybe nanotechnology to also drive our economy. At this stage of ours, would you say 118.98 billion naira for agriculture and road development is what it should be?
Well, in my own view, I will say it's okay. If you look at the structure of our economy, agriculture, employs like almost 60% of the populace. So talking about infrastructure, talking about technology, intelligence, it won't impact larger percentage as such. We are not there yet. There's no way we can be benchmarking our economy, with other countries of the world that have gone ahead of us. So for me, the figure is okay for agriculture. It's, now the president, is currently talking about diversification, and since the oil, which used to be our mainstay, is now disappointing, we don't have any choice, than to, taking such a decision towards agriculture is a right step. I think it's okay.
All right. Well, we hope we get this right. We are trying to connect, and we're now over to Shehu Onigbinde, is the CEO of Budget, joining us live on the line from Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us on Frank Talk this morning, Shehu.
It's a pleasure being here. Apologies for all the trouble connection. Yeah,
thank you very much. Well, tell me your immediate, I should say initial impressions about the budget as presented by the President yesterday to the National Assembly.
This budget that's presented by the President is like the last lap of the race. Let's forget, this is the third budget of the President. The first one was 6.06 trillion. The second one was 7.44 trillion. 3.6 trillion. Something that we must take note is that the current administration has a philosophy of spending big, and considering that we just exited recession recently, and the plan was just to stimulate the economy through massive spending on infrastructure. And we found out that capital expenditure, which we always move around 500 to 800 billion the past year, have been treated around 2.4 trillion. Also, the problem is that our deficit is also rising. So we now have, the time when we always had deficit of less than $1 trillion, now we have a deficit of 2 trillion. They're going to service public debt with 2 trillion. And for me, the assumptions for the oil, and especially the non-oil assumptions are just too optimistic. And so my big worry for this budget is we might be borrowing too much, and I don't know when we begin to realize that our biggest work is on revenue, not even expanding that. Because if we keep expanding that, quality our credit ratings will go down, our cost of borrowing keep rising higher. People still doubt our fiscal sustainability. So the federal government needs to work harder on its revenue, especially the non-revenue component, and also importantly, reining on debt. In places where you can find private-public partnership, you invest in that, and also I think that's much more better. And also something to think is the non-debt recurrent expenditure, which is just a summation of the personnel and environment, the credit-wise vote has not gone down, it's not reduced. Otherwise, between 4 trillion now. So even government is not tightening itself at the institutional hand. So this looks like a budget for an election year. Make everybody happy, and by put everybody invest again in terms of this, and move to 2015 we bring those might begin to start flowing back.
Well, let me continue here. You said this looks like a budget for an election year. There's been concerns about how realistic it is. People saying that are looking at what happened at this year's budget, saying we've struggled to finance it, saying, can we do that? But then other people are saying, well, the president actually factored into these budgets inflationary trends.
Yeah, it's the realistic part of the budget. Look at the budget. Most of the assumptions, especially for the corporate income tax, they're just wide of the mark. Independent revenue tax are wide of the mark. When you have independent revenue of around 300 billion, you're proposing almost a trillion naira. Corporate income tax, you almost think you can double that in a year. And I guess if you don't meet your revenue assumption and you still want to keep spending bills, and so debt will have to be for the year. I don't think we should be more careful. Initial analysis shows that our debt to revenue ratio is around 62%. Our debt service to revenue ratio is around 62%, meaning that out of every 100 naira Nigeria makes 2 naira is used to service debt. So it's in some way very important that I don't think the revenue assumptions will be realistic as much as we know. But like I said, this looks like the year they want to go for it. They want to put more money in infrastructure. They want to spend money on capital expenditure, and we now have to be vigilant because that really translates to service delivery. And also, we also need to be much more vigilant at the case that we are borrowing to be certain that we're not seeing crisis with future administrations.
I mean, so overall, before I let you go, what should Nigerians expect by your assessment of this budget? What should Nigerians expect next year?
Well, I guess this budget can go fast because the administration says they want to cycle back to January. So I'm looking forward to that. Even early January, late January, the budget should go fast. Then we can bring that right calendar year cycle again. Also because constituency project, a lot of things that needs to be shown. That needs to be issued in 2015. So 2 things we should expect. Number one, we have a short governance cycle next week. By the time we're talking around July, August, already in political mood already. So definitely the government will need to prove that we can quickly implement this project by providing funds as early as enough for 2018. Because by the time it's 2018, I have the interest or attention on issues of governance. Also, the second thing that I ask you in this project is that they ask you the quick ways Nigerian union for that what exactly the administration achieved in 4 years.
All right. Well, thank you. We lost the line there to Sheon, but I think that's a convenient point for actually to let him go. Sheon Igbeneghu is live on the line from Kampala, Uganda. He's there for a program. He's the CEO of Budget. Budget is a civic organization using digital technology to let Nigerians have better access to the budget. Well, we open the phone lines for you shortly, but I should ask Dr. Bosede Akombi also, looking at it with all of this we've said here this morning, what should Nigerians really expect or should be looking forward to in the year 2018, judging by this budget proposal?
Well, judging by this budget proposal, I wouldn't know what will happen at implementation stage. But I think Nigerians, should be hopeful. We should be hopeful that better days are ahead. Like the last speaker said, if it is not a political budget, there are so many things that, one will want to be looking at when we are talking about expectation about 2018 budget. So if it is not a political budget anyway, like we have, agitations here and there that the president is going for the second time. If it is a realistic budget, which will be determined by the way National Assembly, handles this issue this time around, if we are not going to have a repeat of what happened with the previous budget, budget paddling and the likes, I always say that we should still be hopeful.
All right. Well, let's open the phone lines now. Let's get you to join this conversation. Let's get what you make of the budget this year. There are many other aspects also that we'll continue to look at as the days roll by, as National Assembly also work on this particular budget. There's plan to spend 263.10 billion naira on transportation as part of the capital expenditure, really, we should stress. And then there are many key intervention programs that the president has actually indicated, and in line, I say he wants to consolidate an achievement in this year 2017. Government is going to work on the Mambila hydropower project, 9.8 billion naira, including 8.5 billion naira as the counterpart funding. There's going to be a 12 billion naira counterpart funding also earmarked for transmission lines and substations. Maybe that will give some fillip to our power situation in the country. We have 35.41 billion naira for the National Housing Program and 10 billion naira for the second Niger Bridge. And also, the president said yesterday that about 300 billion naira will be for the construction and rehabilitation of some of the strategic roads mentioned earlier in his speech. And well, many other things that we'll be looking at, really, one after the other, as the weeks and the days roll by, as we hope to get things better in our dear country, Nigeria. But like Sean said the other time, that this budget is just like the last lap. Next year, governments across all the levels will be preparing for election, and maybe that was why I refer to it as a budget really for the election year also. Let's open the phone lines for you now. I've been speaking with Dr. Bosede Akobi, the acting head of economics, acting head of the Department of Economics at Uni Osun. I spoke earlier on also to Dr. Tunji Ogunyemi, budget historian from the OAU Ile-Ife, and also to Seun Odigbide, who joins us over the line from Kampala in Uganda. He's the CEO of Budget. Let's get your own reactions to these particular comments this morning.
You can now join the conversation by calling 0703-175-9177, 0703-175-9177, and 0902-427-3808. You can equally make use of our social media platforms. For WhatsApp, 0703-175-9173, 0703-175-9173. Tweet at us at Rave917FM, and Facebook is Rave917FM. Do remember to turn down the volume on your radio set or move away from it. And please, let's keep our comments civil. Thank you.
All right, well, let's take our first calls on the program. You can also make us on the third line, 0905-6487-177. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Olaide Majesty from Dada State in Shubu.
Thank you, Mr. Olaide Majesty.
Yeah, on the issue of the budget, the president has disappointed the female youth again. Considering the amount of money allocated to education, there's a lot of things you can save in your country if you allocate huge amount of money into education. And I would like to disagree with you that looking at reality on ground in Nigeria, we can only allocate a token to our education. For instance, if you educate people, they will know how to be hygienic, so that you spend less on your health. if you educate them, there won't be Boko Haram again, and so on and so on. We can go on and on. So our government should spend more money on education, and things will get better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Majesty. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining. So, do you know where you're calling from? Please do call back. That's dropped. You can make use of 0905 648 7177 to also join us on the program this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Emmanuel from Malaysia.
Emmanuel, I'd like for you to speak up a bit.
Emmanuel from Malaysia.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Good morning.
Yes. Actually, presidency has performed the normal yearly ritual of budget presentation. I want to say, having budgeted very little to education, when you have good education, you are building a good nation. But now the federal government is, putting everything at its proposal to deal with security problems that is self-inflicted in the northeast area, of which, even from what I heard, I don't see much allocated to the Niger Delta, which is laying the golden hair for this country, and education. And where are we going? We need to invest in the life of our teenagers. And now you say government will travel all over to go and receive good health. Who are you training? Are you training good doctors by not giving them good education? So many things in that budget. But anyway, what comes most, at least, is the level of impartation and implementation of that budget, not figures. After all, the National Assembly will still work on the budget. So it is at that point we continue to celebrate. Celebrating anything in the budget now is celebrating mediocrity. And we need to start doing things differently. We need to rise from mediocrity to start on in this country so that the country will move on. Well done.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Masha from Ovago.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall.
Yeah, my take on this budget is let's all wait and see National Assembly working on this budget. And concerning the education, it's unfortunate that this government wants to kill education sector in Nigeria. Good morning.
All right, let's take some messages on the WhatsApp platform. Ajiboye Olalekun on site. Let me speak on behalf of Nigerian electorates. We are concerned about the implementation rather than applauding the presentation of the budget proposal of 8.6 trillion naira. Government should state the level of implementation of the 2017 budget and improve on 2018 budget implementation. President should demonstrate that he is capable of running another campaign and govern this country for another 4 years by implementing over 85% of these budgets. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, Adeshola from Oshogbo said, I wonder why the press and media houses have refused to ask the government about billions of naira being budgeted for housing since 2007 till date. Where are these houses and housing projects located, and who live in them? The truth is that successive governments have been feasting on these billions of naira year in, year out, and this government inclusive housing budget is a ruse, just like ASO Clinic budget. May God bless and protect Rave FM and Nigeria. Amen. Thank you. Hello, good morning. That dropped. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mr. Sunday from Oshogbo.
Mr. Sunday.
Yeah, let me start by saying that this budget is not the budget of anybody, but the budget of Nigerians. So I want to beg everybody that is commenting that you know that is not that maybe someone is a sympathizer of the federal government or sympathizer of the PDP or sympathizer of anybody. But let us know that this is Nigerian budget and everybody have to speak up. Having said that, I want to say that I don't have confidence in that budget, because the government at hand now, they are trying to kill education. Like, it's them that reduce the cut-off mark of 100 for cut-off mark. Now they are now putting a token
to the education.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sunday. Hello, good morning. The last call here this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sam. I'm speaking from Oshogo.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you very much. I want to say that before we start rejoicing over this budget, we should pause and consider a few things that have been part of this government when it comes to budget issues. One is the possibility of the budget getting missing again, because we've always had that. Two is the possibility of budget padding again. However, that aside, of course, we should expect those ones. That aside, one of your guests did say that we have not gotten to the level of allocating 25-26% to education. And I ask a question, when are we ever getting there? If we will get there, I think we need to start working in that direction. I am of the opinion that if we attend this and in 3-4 years, we give this to education, we would discover that our educational system would have been built up so much that some of our fears will be done away with. And we are talking about generating revenue from non-oil sources like that, and we are giving a party sum to agriculture, a party sum to education. And like someone just said, our people keep traveling abroad for medical services, including the president. And who do we blame? The doctors who are not well trained? The doctors who don't have the facilities to do whatever they are supposed to do here? I am of the opinion that Nigeria should start moving in the direction of taking concise effort, intentional and practical effort towards developing our educational system.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you. Well, let's just take these last messages as we round off on the program here. This one is from Babatunde Adewale from Oshogwe, saying, my own point of view, the budget proposal is not a problem or figures of the budget, but implementation level. What's the percentage of 2017 budget implementation? The government needs a budget much for education and health. And Big Sam from Oshogwe is saying we need to be productive, especially technology-wise, as we know that the world is trafficating another direction. We must go back to farming, which will also boost the economy. God bless Nigeria. And Mr. Femi, the president's advisors on budget and strategic planning are not really doing well. Why is the chunk of our money on defense? Are we at war? Why borrow to finance a budget? Well, given the President Buhari's background, I expect he gives any more than he has to education. That's from Spirit Walker. Well, so many things, so many opinions to different people. Well, the country is fighting Boko Haram. Also, maybe that partly explains why defense is still getting a huge chunk. Let me take the last remark, the final remarks really from Dr. Bosedi Akombi. I should ask you again, by next year, hopefully, do you see this budget being passed early by the National Assembly?
Well, I hope the National Assembly we do the needful, by passing this budget early. And I also want to hope that, most issues that people have raised here, the ridiculous value, allocated to education, I want to say that maybe by the time the National Assembly are taking critical look at that budget, I mean, in future, we really have to ask ourselves, where are we going? What's our focus? What are the strategies, towards coming out of this mess that we are in our economy? So
well, we have to leave it at that because of our time. Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. Dr. Bosedi Akombi is the acting head of the Department of Economics at UniOsun. Thank you so much for your time on the program this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Tunji Ogunyemi joined us live on the line from Ile-Ife, a budget historian. It's from the OAU. And also, Sheung Onigmede speaking with us live from Kampala, Uganda. He's the CEO of Budgets. My name is Femi Olanipekun. Asking you to have a great day. Bye-bye. Good morning.
If you must drink, don't drive. If you must drive, don't drink. Drive with care and attention. Obey all traffic rules and regulations. Avoid speeding. Remember, you have a family that needs you. Road accidents kill, maim lives, and destroy dreams. Be cautious while driving. This message is from Rave 91.7 FM.
Hey, Papa, Mama, make you not listen to me. For your building materials and original ties, you now OC don't PF. Now them they sell them, then they don't plaza, then go do you better.